In this video, I'll share with you 10 critical tips that you can use to overcome obstacles to being creative, and how you can apply them to anything you do. You'll be able to apply these ideas to enhance your creative approaches in business, the arts, or any other personal or career endeavor. Hi, Alan Zawacki here. I'm an artist, writer, educator, and tropical island lover. And although I've been painting for over 30 years, I transitioned my life and my career about 13 years ago to become a full-time artist. Prior to that, I had an enjoyable 25-year career in corporate America and university-level education, creating and delivering courses for managers and employees on performance improvement, creative problem solving, and career development. So creativity and encouraging people to think out of the box has been a big part of what I've done throughout my career. If you've ever been stuck in the creative process, such as needing a creative solution to a work project, or had a creative block as a visual artist, musician, or a writer, or are struggling with a creative solution to a career move, these 10 simple but effective techniques will help you get the creative juices flowing. And if you stick around till the end, I'll give you one more often overlooked idea to jumpstart your creativity right now. So let's get right into the first tip. First of all, establish a safe place in your head to be creative. Give yourself permission to fail. Putting unrealistic expectations on yourself can cause a lot of frustration and actually blocks creativity. Mistakes are part of the process. We often learn better from our mistakes than our successes anyway. Wayne Gretzky, the world-famous hockey player, once said, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So go ahead and take the shots." A little later, I'll tell you a story of how I use my mistakes to improve outcomes in my paintings. To really see creativity in action, make it a point to watch children play. Spend 30 minutes or so and see how they're not afraid or embarrassed when they play. Children experiment and they make things up without regard to what other people think. They're free of the constraints we adults have placed on ourselves. Adults sometimes take on what's called the spotlight effect, which is thinking that we're in the spotlight and everyone is looking at us and judging us. Don't let what other people might think affect your creative thoughts and actions. Be like a child and let yourself be free. And in fact, be like a child and actually play. Schedule some playtime into your work week. Playing and laughing releases endorphins, serotonin, and dopamine in the brain, which all contribute to the feeling of well-being and allow greater creativity. In our sometimes frantic and hurried schedules, we often gloss over and miss the small but important details in life. Make sure you take the time in your weekly routine to deeply observe the subtle nuances of a subject, object, or idea. Observe the shape, the color, the shading, sound, texture, performance, process, actions, or result. As the saying goes, the silence in between the notes is just as important as the notes themselves. When I'm out on the beach at sunset, I make a conscious decision to look at the subtle colors at the horizon and how they change as my eyes look higher up in the sky. The gold and orange gradually changes to various reds, then to a slightly greenish blue a little higher in the sky, and finally to a darker blue. When I'm standing in shallow ocean water, I look down through a couple of inches of water and deeply observe to see the different colors in the sand below, and how the water changes color from clear to some blues, greens, turquoise, as I look a little farther out into the deeper water. In the distance, the color of the sky reflects off of the water, giving the surface a lighter sky blue overtone. Deeply observe by sensing and perceiving, in order to see small details that may hold the key to unlocking problems, coming up with new insights, or acquiring new knowledge. It requires you to devote a specific amount of time and your full attention. Suspend any analyzing, remove distractions, and view the situation through fresh eyes and new perspectives. By having more information about a topic, you'll be better able to think in unique and innovative ways. Dig into a variety of sources to get different perspectives on the subject. That will help you to not fall into tunnel vision. Different perspectives are absolutely necessary to think creatively. But at the same time, don't get stuck in doing research. Don't fall into analysis paralysis. Learn and know the structure of the subject, but then get out of the box and just do it. Take one step, then another, then another. The creative juices will begin to flow. I can't tell you how many times I've stared at a blank page or a blank canvas and felt that paralyzing hesitancy to begin. But once I put a few words down on the page or a few brushstrokes down on the canvas, I was off to the races. Once you're in the zone, creativity has its own way of building up momentum and speed. It's been shown that when people in an office environment get up and conduct a walking meeting, rather than sitting on their bums around a table, they experience a freer thought process. There's something about moving the body that helps our brains loosen up and become more creative. Our brains are more relaxed during walks due to the release of certain beneficial chemicals. If you're alone during creative time, you can get up and move for a while to loosen up those brain rafters a bit as well. After I've been working on a painting in my studio for 2 hours or so, I start to feel myself and my brain tighten up. Getting out and going for a walk or a bike ride not only re-energizes my body, but also revives my brain. So if you're feeling stuck in your thoughts or having some writer's block, get up and get moving. That breakthrough idea might just be waiting for you when you return. We sometimes get into the habit of thinking and saying no to things as our first thought. We get too rigid and too protective of the way we think. When you get a creative impulse or hear a new idea, rather than pushing it away or saying no, try saying yes and. For example, if someone suggested that it would be better if I changed the composition of a painting to include the background trees, rather than saying, no, I don't think I want to do that, I can say yes, and if I did that, I could. Or if a work colleague said to you, I think we should move the office to the downtown location rather than the suburban site, you could say yes, and we could also. The phrase yes and encourages you to not only accept or at least look further into an idea, but to also expand on it. You never know if that will be the diamond in the rough unless you give it some air to breathe. Saying yes may mean you have to take a risk on something. A recent study from an international team of researchers published in Psychology of Aesthetics, Creativity, and the Arts shows that risk-taking is an important part of creativity. Intellectual risk-taking is what Pablo Picasso described when he said, I am always doing that which I cannot do, in order that I may learn how to do it. It's a form of risk-taking very different from the types associated with skydiving, gambling, or unhealthy behaviors. Intellectual risk-taking refers to actions that expose a person to the possibility of failing, such as trying to learn new skills or trying out new ideas. In a way, I experience this when I begin a painting that's very different from what I'm used to. Different subject matter, different style, different environment than what I'm comfortable in. Other times I experience it when I'm asked to do a commission painting. I have the self-imposed pressure of exceeding the expectations of the client. Again, it comes down to just do it. There's a very true saying, change begins where your comfort zone ends. Visualization is an integral part of the creative process. It's the basis for every thought you ever create. You and I think in images, not in words. When you're trying to decide what to have for dinner, what do? You picture the possible choices. You see, smell, taste the selection well before you ever dine. When you're trying to decide what to do this weekend, you picture the possible events in your mind. However, visual imagery can be your friend or your enemy. Negative visual imagery also goes by the name worry. Not a very productive thing to do. The method of positive imagery is used by athletes, salespeople, artists, writers, and CEOs. I not only use visual imagery to come up with the initial composition of a painting, I also use it when I make a mistake. When I'm in the middle of a painting and make a big mistake, I step back for a while, look at the painting and visualize how the overall painting could take a different direction by adjusting or changing the composition to incorporate the so-called mistake into a new composition. That creative visualization almost always gives me a much better result than the previous version. I end up with a better painting all because I took the time to visualize a different outcome. So when you're looking for that creative solution, take a step back and visualize the desired outcome or possible outcomes. Use your mind's eye to see all of the details of that outcome. Paint the picture of a successful outcome on the canvas of your mind. Then go to work and try it out. You may be aware of the concept of brainstorming. As the saying goes, 2 heads are better than 1. And taking it a little further, many brains are better than 2. The basic rules of brainstorming are simple. Go for quantity. Withhold criticism, welcome wild ideas, combine and improve ideas. The objective is to get out on the table as many ideas as possible in a specific amount of time. It's most important to accept all ideas and not make any judgments as to their correctness or practicality. This can create a fun environment for everyone. Make it a game. Sometimes what initially seems to be a wacky idea can be one of the most creative and useful ones. And if gathering 1 or more people isn't possible, brainstorming can also be used as an individual, although it's a little trickier. Again, give yourself a time limit and list as many ideas as possible without judging. Write down any single idea on a Post-it note. Keep writing down ideas on Post-its. Don't stop, don't judge, just write. If any idea triggers an association to something else, write down that idea on another note, and so on until you have a wall full of notes. Afterwards, take a look at the wall and think about how you can combine different ideas to create something fresh and new. Sometimes having some energizing instrumental music in the background can help provide some inspiration. Usually instrumental music works best so you don't get distracted by the lyrics of a song. So if you're stuck in your creative process, give it a shot and see what happens. Studies show that physical fitness and exercise drastically improve certain types of cognitive ability involved in creativity. Specifically, convergent thinking, such as the ability to come up with solutions to a problem, and divergent thinking, which involves thinking in open-ended ways leading to original ideas. And regular exercise also improves emotional states, such as feeling good and having low anxiety and fear, which helps our ability to focus. Good sleep habits also contribute to enhanced creativity. Sleep and creativity are closely related. Lack of sleep affects our minds in ways we may not even be aware of, in addition to making us feel sleepy and grumpy the next day. After a good, restful night's sleep, the 2 sides of the brain have improved function. Research shows that during deep REM sleep, which is usually the first half of the night, there's a restructuring of memories which can contribute to a creative surge in the morning and has an impact on your ability to make associations between ideas. So if you haven't already, establish and maintain a regular exercise and sleep routine to improve your long-term creative ability. Now for that bonus tip that I promised. It's often overlooked when it comes to being creative. Have you ever awakened during the middle of the night with what seemed to be a pretty cool idea or thought, but drifted back to sleep and tried to remember that idea in the morning, with no luck? Or you stayed awake all night trying to hang on to that thought and was exhausted in the morning and forgot the idea anyway. With a pad and pencil next to the bed, in the dim light, you can quickly jot down the idea and have the peace of mind to go back to sleep because you've captured it for the morning. And by using the old-fashioned pad and pencil way, you won't be interrupting your sleep even more by looking at a bright screen on your phone and being tempted to start scrolling through your messages. Sometimes the old-fashioned ways are the best.